It's back to class as the coronavirus pandemic rages on, stronger than ever. The race to vaccinate, full speed ahead.
We need to require vaccinations for all school personnel with an option to test out weekly.
The debate on masking our students.
Parents need to have a choice. They need to be the decision makers for what goes in and on the outside of their body.
The focus, protecting our children.
Now it's time to really get this COVID epidemic under control and protect children.
From the northern tier to the southern tier, the state of our schools, back to class.
Good evening, Twin Tiers. I'm Jordan Norquist. Thank you for joining us for our September special State of Our Schools Back in Class. Tonight, we take a look at how the coronavirus pandemic has taken a toll on our schools and impacted our students' learning. Later on in this special, our Zach Wheeler will join us live from the Clemens Center in Elmira, where we will hear from school officials across the Twin Tiers about what they feel is going well and what needs to change as the school year progresses. But first, we start off tonight with a look back. We are over 18 months into the coronavirus pandemic, and while many of the original restrictions have lifted, mask mandates are returning in some settings, and vaccine mandates are also emerging. So are the Twin Tiers better off than they were a year ago during the height of the pandemic? Our 18 News reporter Tara Lynch spoke with county leaders who say, yes, we are moving forward.
Are we ready if this were to come here? Not really thinking that it would or, how bad it was going to get.
In March 2020, Chemung County was a state leader, closing the schools days before the governor's office announced a statewide closure and taking precautions at the airport for international travel.
For some reason, our numbers stayed relatively low when everybody else's were super high, but then our turn came late September, October.
But where are we now, and have we made any progress?
We're worse than last year.
Now, many ask, well, what does the data show? Are we making any progress? Last year on September 1st, 338 people were tested in Chemung County, 0 tested positive. This year on September 1st, 870 people were tested for COVID, 21 people tested positive. That's a 2.41 positivity rate.
A year ago, a lot more people were very cognizant of social distancing and obviously limiting the amount of time they spent with others.
Those that are in hospitals and that are passing away since the vaccine has been released have been unvaccinated, but that's not to say that the vaccinated are out of the woods.
The vaccine became widely available at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. Now, some experts are calling it a pandemic of the unvaccinated, but County Executive Moss does not necessarily agree.
We're seeing the numbers rise. What you have to remember is nobody said that the vaccine was a cure. The vaccine hopefully is going to make sure that you don't have issues or complications that could be deadly at the end of the day. We had 20% or more of the population in Chemung County vaccinated. Would we see as many positives? Probably not.
With lower individuals vaccinated in the region and activities being much higher, spread is also increasing.
Cases are still high, but the county offices are more prepared.
We have some infrastructure built. We have staff. We've been through this a little bit differently, but we've been through this before.
If I had to give Chemung County and the residents a grade, I think we're a good B+. We're an A-.
Taking a look back, the data may not show it, but there has been progress in the fight against COVID, but the pandemic continues on. Reporting in Elmira, I'm Tara Lynch.
And with COVID cases on the rise, how can we make sure our students are safe in the classroom? Doctors say the way to beat the virus is with vaccines. And Pfizer's announcement that its COVID vaccine is safe and effective for children as young as 5 is prompting reaction from schools on possible mandates here in the Twin Tiers. Our 18 News reporter Sarah Wilson has that story.
It's a key role in returning to normal.
If we can get more folks vaccinated, particularly children, I think we can really contain it.
Experts say if approved, the Pfizer vaccine for kids ages 5 to 11 could not only keep schools open, it could help dig us out from the worst of the pandemic. But national surveys indicate not every parent will have their child roll up their sleeve.
Certainly, vaccine hesitancy is more common the younger a child gets.
If schools start requiring proof of vaccination, that hesitancy could be a problem down the line.
We require other vaccinations, diphtheria, tetanus, it's all required. This will ultimately have to be a requirement. We'll have to require this for entry at some point. I don't see how that cannot be a mandate.
But can schools actually mandate the vaccine? The answer is yes, as long as it's fully approved by the FDA. A recent poll from the Associated Press shows nearly 60% of Americans support vaccination requirements for teachers. 55% say eligible students should also get the shot. Right now, no state requires students to get their COVID-19 vaccine. 18 News reached out to schools across the Twin Tiers. Hornell City School District says they won't encourage or discourage students from getting the shot, but they will help provide access to it. Elmira City School says right now they won't require it. Reporting in Elmira, Sarah Wilson, 18 News.
To help get eligible students vaccinated, Governor Kathy Hochul launched a statewide Vax to School plan involving 120 new pop-up vaccine sites across the state over a 12-week period. A community-based medical professional will be available at each site to answer questions. In addition to the new sites, there will also be Vax to School buses as part of the campaign's mobile vaccination efforts. Those can be found at public recreation spaces such as basketball courts and parks. A major shift took place after students in Pennsylvania were already back in the classroom for the school year. Up next, we break down the state's decision that students need masks after they already came back to school and the lawsuits and protests that followed. The fight over PA's mask mandate when we return.